Hello everyone. Our today's topic is Union Executive. Union Executive. Under Article 52 to 78 in Part 5 deals with the Union Executive, and Union Executive consists of President, Vice President, Prime Minister, Council of Minister, Attorney General of India. Now, first, start with President. President is the head of the Indian state, and head of Indian government is Prime Minister, and President is the first citizen of India, and President acts as a symbol of unity, integrity, and solidarity. Now coming to the election of President. President is not directly elected by the people but by the member of the electoral college, which consists of elected members of both the houses of the parliament and elected member of the legislative assembly of the states, and third one is elected members of the legislative assemblies of the union territories of Delhi and Puducherry. ये कब से ऐड हुआ है? दिस प्रोविजन वाज एडेड बाय द 17th कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल अमेंडमेंट एक्ट 1992. Election of the president में nominated members of both the houses of the parliament and legislative assemblies of the states participate नहीं करते हैं. Nominated member जो हैं वो participate नहीं करते हैं election में. Now the president's election is held in accordance with the system of proportional representation by means of single transferable vote and by the voting of secret ballot. Okay. इसमें क्या होता है कि हर एक मेंबर्स इलेक्टोरल मेंबर्स को एक सिंगल बुलेट पेपर दे दिया जाता है, देन अकॉर्डिंग टू देयर प्रेफरेंस दे मार्क द नंबर 1 2 3 एंड सो ऑन. ओके. नाउ इनडायरेक्ट इलेक्शन क्यों होता है प्रेसिडेंट का? So the reason behind this is indirect election is, first is that we follow a parliamentary system of government. Parliamentary system of government है, and the president is only a nominal head. Real head कौन है? Prime Minister. Nominal head. और अगर डायरेक्ट इलेक्शन करवाते हैं तो वो बहुत ज़्यादा कॉस्टली पड़ेगा हमारे लिए, एंड टाइम एंड एनर्जी कंज्यूमिंग. इसके कारण हम लोग इनडायरेक्ट इलेक्शन करते हैं. एंड ऑल द डाउट्स एंड द डिस्प्यूट्स इन कनेक्शन विद द इलेक्शन से जो भी डाउट्स एंड डिस्प्यूट्स होंगे प्रेसिडेंट के इलेक्शन के लिए, वो आर इंक्वायर्ड इनटू एंड डिसाइडेड बाय द सुप्रीम कोर्ट, एंड सुप्रीम कोर्ट्स डिसीजन इज फाइनल. ओके. नाउ कमिंग टू द क्वालिफिकेशंस. क्वालिफिकेशंस में क्या हो जाएगा कि फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल he or she should be a citizen of India and should be completed the age of 35 years and qualified for the election of the member of Lok Sabha and not hold any office of profit. Now, for the nomination of the candidate for the election to the office of the president must be subscribed by at least 50 electors as a proposers and 50 electors as a seconders, and deposit 15,000 rupees in RBI. Before 1997 ये नंबर कितने थे? 10 proposers and 10 seconders, and the amount was 2,500. And now the oath of the Office of President is administered by CJI, Chief Justice of India, in his or her absent. जो भी सीनियर मोस्ट जज होंगे सुप्रीम कोर्ट के वो करेंगे. नाउ द इम्पीचमेंट प्रोसेस. इम्पीचमेंट प्रोसेस टर्म क्या है प्रेसिडेंट का? टर्म है 5 years. 5 years, but he or she can resign from his or her office at any time by addressing resignation letter to a vice president. और बिफोर कंप्लीशन ऑफ द टर्म, उससे पहले भी इनको रिमूव किया जा सकता है बाय द प्रोसेस नोन एज इम्पीचमेंट. इम्पीचमेंट क्या है? दिस इज अ क्वाजी जुडिशियल प्रोसीजर. क्वाजी जुडिशियल प्रोसीजर है ये. एंड प्रेसिडेंट कैन बी रिमूव्ड बाय द प्रोसेस ऑफ इम्पीचमेंट. किसके? क्यों? तो फॉर द वायलेशन ऑफ कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन. ठीक है. फिर आता है दिस प्रोसेस कैन बी इनिशिएटेड इन आइदर हाउस ऑफ द पार्लियामेंट, आइदर इट इज लोकसभा और राज्यसभा. बट दीज चार्जेस शुड बी साइन बाय 1/4. जिसमें भी जिस हाउस में भी ये स्टार्ट हुआ है उसमें 1/4 मेंबर्स के साइन होने चाहिए. साइन बाय 1/4 मेंबर्स ऑफ द हाउस. देन and 14 days notice should be given to a president. 14 days notice. And now the impeachment resolution is passed by a majority of 2/3 of the total membership of that house. Then it is sent to the other house, which should also investigate the charges. The president has the right to appear and to be represented at such investigation. And if the other house also passes the resolution by majority of 2/3 of total membership, then the president removed from his or her office. In the removal process, nominated member of House of the Parliament also participated. As in election only elected members of the House of the Parliament participated. Nominated members do not participate in election, but in impeachment process nominated member also participated. Nominated member of the House of the Parliament participated, but the elected member of the legislative assemblies of the state do not participate in impeachment process. क्या पढ़ा? यूनियन एग्जीक्यूटिव आर्टिकल 52 to 78 जो कि पार्ट 5 में है वो डील करता है यूनियन एग्जीक्यूटिव के साथ. एंड it consists of president, vice president, prime minister, council of minister, attorney general of India. And president is head of the Indian state and first citizen of the India, and acts as a symbol of the unity, integrity and solidarity. And election process by the indirect election by the member of the electoral college, which consists of the elected member of the House of the Parliament, elected members of the legislative assemblies of the state, elected members of the legislative assemblies of the UTs of the Delhi and the Puducherry. कब ऐड हुआ? तो 70th Constitutional Amendment Act 1992 में ऐड हुआ. इनडायरेक्ट इलेक्शन क्यों करते हैं? क्योंकि ये हमारा पार्लियामेंट्री फॉर्म ऑफ गवर्नमेंट है. देन प्रेसिडेंट इज ओनली अ नॉमिनल हेड. एंड अगर डायरेक्ट इलेक्शन करवाते हैं तो वो बहुत कॉस्टली पड़ेगा, टाइम कंज्यूमिंग एंड एनर्जी कंज्यूमिंग होगा. एंड नॉमिनेटेड मेंबर डू नॉट पार्टिसिपेट इन इलेक्शन ऑफ द प्रेसिडेंट, बट नॉमिनेटेड मेंबर ऑफ द हाउस ऑफ द पार्लियामेंट पार्टिसिपेट इन इम्पीचमेंट प्रोसेस. ओके. क्वालिफिकेशंस में क्या हो जाएगा कि उसको सिटीजन ऑफ इंडिया should be citizen of India, age 35 years, should be qualified to a member of the Lok Sabha election of the Lok Sabha, then not hold any office of profit. Then impeachment process is a quasi judicial procedure for the violation of a constitution. It should be it can be initiated in any either house of the parliament and it should be passed by the majority of 2/3 of the total membership and sent to the other house. There also it should be passed by the majority of 2/3 of the total membership. And in impeachment process, nominated member of the House of the Parliament also participate. Powers and functions of president. सबसे पहले में क्या आ गया? एग्जीक्यूटिव पावर, एग्जीक्यूटिव पावर में जो भी एग्जीक्यूटिव एक्शंस होंगे, ऑल एग्जीक्यूटिव एक्शंस of the government are formally taken in the name of president. And president appointments की बात कर लें तो president appoints किसको किसको ये appoints करता है? Prime Minister and other ministers, Prime Minister, other minister, Attorney General of India, then Comptroller and Auditor General, then Chief Election Commissioner and other commissioners, chairmen and members of UPSC, governors of the states, chairmen and members of Finance Commission, then appoints the commission to investigate into the condition of the backward classes and appoints the interstate council to promote the center and the state and interstate corporation. And presidents directly administers UT, and presidents can declare any area as a scheduled area. President can make rules specifying the manners, in which the orders and other instruments made and executed, and the president can make rules for the convenient transaction of business of the union government and for allocation of the said business. And president can seek any information relating to the administration of affairs of the union. Executive powers में क्या क्या हो जाएगा? All executive actions taken in the name of president, and president appoints prime minister, other minister, attorney general of India, CAG, chief election commissioner, other election commissioners, then chairman and member of UPSC, governor of the states, chairman and the member of the finance commission, commission to investigate the condition of the backward classes, interstate council, and administer directly the UTs and can declare any area as a scheduled area. Okay, and specifying the manner in which the orders and other instruments made and executed, and make the rules for the convenient transaction of the business, and can seek any information relating to the administration of the affairs of the union. Now, coming to the legislative power. Second one is the legislative power. First, we know that the president is an integral part of the parliament. President can summon or prorogue the parliament. The parliament can dissolve a Lok Sabha, and can summon a joint sitting, जिसको कि कौन प्रिसाइड करेगा? Speaker of the Lok Sabha. And president can address the parliament at commencement of the first session after general election and first session of each year. And president can send messages to the houses of the parliament, whether with respect to the bill pending in the parliament or otherwise. And the president can appoint any member of the Lok Sabha to preside over its proceedings when the office of the speaker and deputy speaker fall vacant. Same in the case of the Rajya Sabha, when office of the chairman and deputy chairman fall vacant, then member of the Rajya Sabha appointed to preside over the proceedings. Okay, and president nominates 12 members of the Rajya Sabha having special knowledge or practical experience in literature, science, art, and social services. Before 2020, President also appoints two members to the Lok Sabha from the Anglo-Indian community. However, 104th Constitutional Amendment Act 2019 discontinued this provision. And President also decides on the question as to the disqualification of the members of the parliament in consultation with the election commission. And president's prior recommendation is needed to introduce certain types of bill. Okay, certain types of bills कौन से involve bills involving expenditure from the consolidated fund of India and alteration of the boundaries of the state and creation of new states, and the money bill, then the bill that imposes varies any taxes or duty in which states are interested, and bill which varies the meaning of the income agricultural income, a bill which affects the principles on which the sum of money distributable to the states, and the bill that imposes a surcharge on any specified tax or the duty for the purpose of the center. When any bill is sent to the president after it has been passed by in the parliament, then president क्या क्या कर सकते हैं? President can give assent to the bill, withhold the assent, or can return the bill for reconsideration. But if the bill is passed again by the parliament with or without any amendment, then the president has to give his or assent to the bill. Okay, when a bill passed by the state legislature is reserved by the governor reserve कर देता है कोई bill को for the consideration of the president, then president क्या कर सकते हैं? Same, can give his her assent, withhold, can direct the governor to return the bill for the reconsideration. But in this case, it is not obligatory for the president to give his or assent even if the bill is again passed by the state legislature. And president has ordinance making power, and he or she lays the report of CAG, Comptroller and Auditor General, UPSC, Finance Commission, and other before the parliament. And president can make a regulation for the peace, progress, and good government of the Andaman and Nicobar Island, Lakshadweep, Dadra and Nagar Haveli, Daman and Diu, and Ladakh. In case of the Puducherry, also the president can legislate by making regulation, but only when the assembly is suspended or dissolved. तो legislative power में क्या पढ़ा हमने कि president can summon or prorogue the parliament, dissolve the Lok Sabha, summon a joint sitting, then address the parliament at the commencement of the first session, and select the member, appoint any member when the speaker and the deputy speaker in case of Lok Sabha, and chairman, deputy chairman in the case of Rajya Sabha falls vacant, and nominates 12 members of the Rajya Sabha. Before 2020, president also nominates two members to the Lok Sabha from Anglo-Indian community, but discontinued by the 104th Constitutional Amendment Act. Then decides on the questions as to the disqualification of the member in consultation with the election commission, and prior recommendation of the president needed in case of the bill involving expenditure from the consolidated fund of India, alteration of the state's boundary, and creation of any new states, money bill, tax and the duty, agricultural income, sum of the money bill which affects the principle on which the sum of the monies or may be distributable to the states, and the bill that imposes any surcharge on any specified taxes. Then when bill is sent to the president can give assent, withhold, and return the bill for reconsideration. But in case if the bill is passed again by the parliament with or without any amendment, then the president has to give his or assent to the bill. But in case when the governor reserved the bill for the consideration of the president, then the president can give his or assent to the bill, withhold, and can return the bill for the reconsideration. But if in this case it is not obligatory for the president to give his or assent even if the bill is passed again by the state legislature. And president have a President has the ordinance making power and lays the report of the CAG, UPSC, Finance Commission before the Parliament, and President can make regulations for the peace, progress, and good government of the Andaman and Nicobar, Lakshadweep, Dadra and Nagar Haveli, Daman and Diu, and Ladakh. In case of the Puducherry also, the President can legislate by making regulation, but only when the Assembly is suspended suspended or dissolved. Next is financial powers. Money bill introduced in the Parliament only prior recommendation of the President. Then President causes to be led before the Parliament the annual financial statement, that is a union budget financial statement. Then no demand for a grant can be made except on his or her recommendation. Then next is President can make a advances out of a contingency fund of India to meet any unforeseen expenditure. Next is President constitute a finance commission every 5 years. Next is judicial power. President appoints Chief Justice of India and judges of Supreme Court and High Court. Next is President can seek advice from the Supreme Court, but this advice is not binding on the President. Next is President can grant pardon, reprieve, respite and remission. Pardon में क्या होगा? It removes both the sentences and convictions and completely absolves the pardon में क्या होता है? Completely absolves the from all sentences and punishments. Then reprieve means it implies a stay of execution. It implies a stay of execution of the sentence for a temporary period. Pardon क्या हो गया? Completely absolve. Then reprieve, stay of execution of a sentence for a temporary period. Keyword इसका क्या रहेगा? Temporary period के लिए हम लोग. Then respite में क्या हो गया कि it denotes awarding a lesser sentence. जो भी originally punishment मिला था उसको lesser कर देने का, lesser due to some special fact that can be physical disability or pregnancy. Next is commutation. Commutation में क्या हो गया कि it denotes a substitution of one form of punishment to a lighter form. जैसे कि एग्जाम्पल में डेथ सेंटेंस को commuted to a rigorous imprisonment और rigorous imprisonment to a simple imprisonment, मतलब substitute किया है to the lighter form में. And next is remission में क्या कर रहे हैं? It implies a reducing a time period without changing a character. Reducing a period without changing character of punishment. जैसे कि अगर पहले कोई पनिशमेंट 2 years का था तो सेम पनिशमेंट अगर हम लोग 1 year के लिए दे रहे हैं तो उसको कहेंगे रेमिशन. कम्यूटेशन में क्या हुआ? सब्सटीट्यूशन किए हैं टू द लाइटर फॉर्म ऑफ पनिशमेंट. जैसे डेथ को हम लोग रिगोरस पनिशमेंट से करेंगे, रिगोरस इम्प्रिजमेंट को सिंपल इम्प्रिजमेंट में करेंगे. देन रिस्पाइट में क्या है कि ड्यू टू एनी स्पेशल फैक्ट लाइक फिजिकल डिसेबिलिटी और प्रेगनेंसी, इसमें हम लोग जो भी ओरिजिनली पनिशमेंट मिला था उसको लेसर सेंटेंस में करेंगे. देन रिप्राइव में क्या है? रिप्राइव में स्टे ऑफ एग्जीक्यूशन ऑफ सेंटेंस फॉर अ टेम्पररी पीरियड, कुछ टाइम के लिए कर रहे हैं. All these can be done in all the cases where the punishment or sentence is by a court martial against, where the punishment or sentence against a union law, and when the sentence is a sentence of death. Next is diplomatic powers. डिप्लोमेटिक पावर्स में क्या होगा, जो भी इंटरनेशनल ट्रीटीज एंड एग्रीमेंट्स है, agreements are negotiated and concluded on behalf of president. Second is president represents India in international forum and affairs and sends and receive diplomats like ambassadors, high commissioners, and so on. Next is military power. Military power में president is a supreme commander. President क्या है, supreme commander of the defense force of the India, and president appoints a chief of the army and the navy and the air forces, and the president can declare war or conclude peace. Next is emergency power. President deals three types of emergencies. First one is national emergency. Second is presidential rules, जिसको कि state emergency and constitutional emergency भी कहते हैं. And third one is financial emergency. First is a national emergency. In this, president can proclaim the entire country or any part of it on the ground of war, external aggressions, and armed rebellion. In these cases, president modify the pattern of distribution of the financial resources between the union and state. And president can suspend fundamental rights of the citizen except the Article 21 and Article 20. Next is presidential rule. Presidential rules. President proclaimed emergency on the ground of failure of constitutional machinery. This is given in Article 356. Second one is failure to comply with or to give the effect to the direction given by the union. ये कौन से आर्टिकल में है? Under Article 365. And next one is financial emergency. Financial emergency, when president satisfied that the financial stability or credit of India, or any part is threatened, then president declares financial emergency. Next is veto power. Veto power. This can be classified into four types. First is absolute veto, and second is suspensive veto. Next, pocket veto, qualified veto. Now the absolute veto. Absolute veto में क्या है? Here it refers to the power of the president to withhold his assent to the bill passed by the parliament. Usually ये जो veto है ये exercise किया जाता है with respect to a private member who is not the minister. जब कोई प्राइवेट मेंबर ये बिल पास करता है तब एब्सोल्यूट वीटो एक्सरसाइज करते हैं. एंड नेक्स्ट when the cabinet resigns before the assent by the president, and the new cabinet जो आते हैं वो एडवाइस करते हैं president to not to give an assent to such bills. ये हुआ था 1954 में when कौन से president थे? डॉक्टर राजेंद्र प्रसाद. withhold his assent to a पेप्सू क्या है? पेप्सू पटियाला एंड ईस्ट पंजाब स्टेट्स यूनियन एप्रोप्रिएशन बिल. एंड नेक्स्ट इज सस्पेंसिव. सस्पेंसिव में है प्रेसिडेंट एक्सरसाइज द वीटो व्हेन रिटर्न कर देते हैं बिल को, रिटर्न कर देते हैं बिल को फॉर रिकंसिडरेशन, फॉर रिकंसिडरेशन of the parliament. But if if the bill is passed again with or without any amendment and presented to the president, that it is obligatory for the president to give his her assent to the bill. This veto is overridden by the repassage of the bill. Okay, next क्या है pocket veto. Pocket veto में क्या है, president neither ratifies nor returns nor rejects the bill, but simply keeps the bill pending for an indefinite period. कोई पॉजिटिव या नेगेटिव कोई भी एक्शन नहीं लेते, बस पेंडिंग रखते हैं. ये वीटो पावर है बिकॉज कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन जो है हमारा वो कि टाइम लिमिट नहीं दे रहा है कि इतने टाइम में आपको डिसीजन लेना है विद रिस्पेक्ट टू एनी बिल. बट इन केस ऑफ यूएसए जो प्रेसिडेंट है वो बिल को रिटर्न कर देते हैं फॉर रिकंसिडरेशन विद इन 10 days. तो इसीलिए हम कहते हैं कि जो पॉकेट ऑफ द इंडियन प्रेसिडेंट है इज बिगर देन द अमेरिकन प्रेसिडेंट. एग्जाम्पल 1986 President Jail Singh exercised the pocket veto with respect to a Indian Post Office Amendment Bill. Next, ये qualified है. Qualified, there is no qualified veto in case of the Indian president. It is possessed by the American president. One more important thing is that the president has no veto power. No veto power in with respect to a constitutional amendment bill. 24th Constitutional Amendment Act 1971 made it obligatory for the president to give his assent to the constitutional amendment bill. Now next is ordinance making power of the president. Ordinance making power. Ordinance making power is the most important legislative power of the president under Article 123 of the Constitution. Empowers the president to promulgate ordinance. President can promulgate an ordinance when only when both the houses of parliament not in the session or either of the houses is not in the session. Next is when president can make ordinance only when president is satisfied that the circumstances जो है अभी that is necessary for him or her to take a necessary to take immediate action. In case of Cooper versus Union of India in 1970, Supreme Court held that the president's satisfaction is questioned in the court on the ground of malafide. But in the 38th Constitutional Amendment Act 1975 made the president's satisfactions final and conclusive and beyond any kind of judicial review. But this was deleted by 44th Constitutional Amendment Act of 1978, and thus the president's satisfaction is justiciable on the ground of malafide. Now the next is जो भी ordinance हम लोग issue करेंगे issued only on those subjects on which the parliament on which the parliament can make laws, and the ordinance is the subject to the same constitutional limitation as an act of the parliament. So the जो भी ordinance president issue करेगा during the recess of the parliament, that must be led before both the houses of the parliament जब भी वो reassembles करे. Then अगर जो both houses of the parliament है उस दो ordinance को approve कर देता है, then then it becomes act. But if the parliament takes no actions at all, then the ordinance ceases to operate on. जब भी reassemble करे उस time से 6 week के बाद तक वो सीज कर जाएगा. उससे पहले भी कर सकता है अगर दोनों हाउस ऑफ द पार्लियामेंट उसको डिसअप्रूव कर दे. ना तो जो ऑर्डिनेंस मेकिंग पावर है वो प्रेसिडेंट का कोई डिस्क्रिशनरी पावर नहीं है, एंड जैसे बाकी लेजिस्लेशन है उसकी तरह ऑर्डिनेंस इज आल्सो रेट्रोस्पेक्टिव. इट मींस it may come into force from the back date. And next is, it may modify or repeal any act of the parliament, or another ordinance. It can alter, amend, or tax law also, but it cannot be issued to amend the constitution. ये जो ऑर्डिनेंस मेकिंग पावर है प्रेसिडेंट का, ये बहुत सारे जो डेमोक्रेटिक कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में है उसमें नहीं मिलता है, जैसे कि कंट्रीज लाइक यूएसए एंड यूके. अभी हमने जो भी पढ़ा कि जो प्रेसिडेंट विल एक्ट ऑन एड एंड एडवाइस ऑफ द प्राइम मिनिस्टर, बट देयर इज some discretion power. जो प्रेसिडेंट कैन एक्ट ऑन हिज हर डिस्क्रिशन. जैसे फर्स्ट हो गया कि अपॉइंटमेंट ऑफ द प्राइम मिनिस्टर, जब कोई भी क्लियर मेजोरिटी पार्टी नहीं होगा लोकसभा में तब वो अपॉइंट करेगा. नेक्स्ट इज a dismissal of the council of ministers when it cannot prove the confidence of Lok Sabha. Now the next is dissolution of the Lok Sabha if the council of ministers has lost its majority. And India हमारा parliamentary system of government है, and America, that is a presidential form of government. उसमें जो president होते हैं, president is a chief head of the executive and administration. But the Indian constitution का जो president है वो that occupies the same position as the king under the English constitution. जिस तरह से he is the head of the state but not the head of the executive. He represents the nation but does not rule. Okay, that's it for today. Thank you.